All right, thank you for coming back for episode 2, everybody. This is the Top Corner Football Podcast. I am your co-host, Julian Ralston, and this is
Jordan Buffon.
And we are here for match week 3, possibly more exciting than match week 2.
Yeah.
What do you think overall about that?
A lot of upsets, and I think the games and the matchups this weekend was really good. I liked most of the games, especially in the Premier League and also in the German League, and as well as in the MLS here for us, which wasn't good.
Nope, not at all. It was very bad week for Nashville.
Yeah.
It felt like, just generally talking about the match week itself, it felt like none of the great teams played great.
Well.
It felt much more even.
Yeah.
Even Real Madrid did not really.
Exceptionally, no. There was not any. I guess none of the moment. It was everything was more on level. It looks like at some point they were all looking average, but I guess when you play with big teams, there's always the outcome at the end where they can always flip the tables around, but nobody was exceptional.
Yeah, I think that the teams that were expected to win still won.
Yeah.
But no one felt as if no one's performing at the quality that we will expect them to be playing in the next 2 months or so. Like they're every single team in Europe is still kind of figuring things out. And that makes early results almost equally important and potentially inconsequential at the same time. You know, everybody was talking about and we'll get to it later, but like dropping points to Liverpool, Newcastle. Well, 2 of your 3 matches were very big matchups, and so you lost both of those. Like, you don't really take that into consideration at this point because they've got a run of like 6 games that they should win. Yeah, pretty simply, or at least if they stick to what has been working, those should be the only 2 losses that they'll suffer by week 8 or 9. You know what I mean? It's like they'll round things out. Yeah. But let's go ahead and get into some of the transfer stuff. Yeah. We'll eventually be done talking about that. It feels like it's been going on for 1,000 years.
Well, I think when is the last day of the summer transfer in Europe?
Is it September 1st?
September 1st.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of days on our day, August 28th currently. So everything's winding down, but a lot of weird
I guess last minute
kind of deals.
Yeah. How about Salah to Saudi Arabia? That's a big one, especially for Liverpool. You've seen how they played this week. They were struggling. Yeah. And you can tell Salah is very, very he is to the team, I think, the most important right now, especially in the attacking front. And I don't know if I heard, well, I read Jurgen Klopp wasn't entertaining the idea of him leaving.
Yep, I read that where he specifically he was like, "There's nothing to really discuss."
Yeah.
But then I also saw where Mohamed Salah himself expressed interest, so maybe there is something to discuss. I don't see it happening right now, though. I really don't. Yeah. I think I don't know how much is still on his contract.
Yes, you never know.
But I know that he still wants. I don't know. I mean, they're very vulnerable at the back. Yeah. But I do see them improving on last season already, especially in the midfield. Yeah. Right? I think that he has incentive to keep going for a little while. I think that he still wants to win something as well. I don't think that he's really ready to go away. But then also I think that he's more aware than anyone that in 2 years, the offer is still going to be there. They're going to always want to bring him in. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, I see a lot of these guys wanting to jump ship immediately. I see young kids wanting to make a name for themselves when they get the opportunity. But you have to remember what the reasoning for a lot of these purchases is. It's to build the league. Mm-hmm. It's not because they like you in particular as a person or even sometimes as a player. It's your reputation and what your reputation can do for them. Yeah. And Mohamed Salah is not going to become less famous anytime soon, right? Like that's not something that we're worried about, and he should know that as well. That offer is still going to stand at pretty much the same salary or fee, transfer fee, what have you.
Especially knowing that he is the guy at the attacking front, it's going to be difficult to replace him or replace that position. Yeah. Liverpool seems very vulnerable, even in the attacking front. And looking at the game, you could see how impactful Salah was.
Yeah.
So another thing will be, of course, anything is possible at this point. When they start offering this big contract, 300 and whatever for 2 years, so it's kind of crazy. So one thing I can say is, in the midst of building your own league, not a lot of players are supposed to go, especially when players have been playing all their life and they already kind of have the reputation, the legacy. So making money. I heard that since Cristiano Ronaldo went to the league, the profit has jumped up to 650%. And this was this morning I was reading. So you can tell they're doing something that works, I guess.
Well, and there's something that I think that a lot of people are either not aware of or maybe choosing to ignore to sort of posture that league a little bit more. There are only 4 teams in that league that are owned by the Saudi government. These players are only really going to 4 of those teams. The initial sort of discussion in the summer was that the government distributes players between, so that there's no dominance, and a lot of people thought that applied to the entire league, to the entire table. No, it's only the teams that they own. So really, there's a reason that you keep just saying or hearing those 3 to 4 teams each time these major transfers happen, and that's why. So they really are kind of trying to create their Premier League Big Six or what have you, which it was already the teams, I believe, that were some of the most winning. You know what I mean? So it's they're already kind of taking that top level of Saudi football and really trying to create a dynasty. And making each of those 4 matchups to be some sort of big El Clasico-esque kind of a deal. And that'll never happen. But the El Clasico is not what it was 7 years ago anyway. So it doesn't really, I don't know. Who knows?
And how about Jeremy Doku to City? And I think that's a good transfer for City, especially Jafron. So guess what? I have at least, I can say 2 or 3 formation. I can see it play. How Pep might want to play. So having Grealish on the left side, having Doku on the right side, and having Haaland at the attacking front. Or it could be the reverse, and you have Bernardo. You have who's playing in the midfield? Was it Bernard? The name I just forgot. Silva. So having Silva just at your 8 or 10 basically. So
and then we should probably then talk about Matheus Nunes right after this, because we'll just keep with the City stuff, because he then impacts this formation. I do think, and I think that Julian Alvarez is a great player. He's a very good number 9, and they've had him in this 10 role. With Kevin De Bruyne being out, and I understand that your squad has to make adjustments for injuries and out time, and I think that that's what these 2 transfers really were. I think that Nunes was a transfer to sort of cover the bases for potential injuries, and then I think that Jeremy Doku was a genuine attempt for a 1-to-1 replacement for Riyad Mahrez. Left-footed right winger, great pace, more pace than Mahrez. Mahrez was not known for a lot of pace. He was known for a lot of tight skill on the ball, being able to cut inside on that left foot. Very Arjen Robben. I mean, he had some of those goals throughout the last 3 or 4 years where it's oh, dude, that is literally, that could be on Arjen Robben's highlight reel. It's exactly how he does it.
I wonder how Pep will, I wonder how the formation might be. Either having Haaland, Grealish, Doku, having Silva as an 8 underneath, and having, I guess, 2 Kovacic and Nunes playing together and having the whole. But again, I feel like either at the place of Silva, I might play Phil Foden. Just because the last game he played, he was really exceptional. I mean, he had passes time at the right time. He was spreading passes through, and I just think that he's a better link up between the midfield and the attack. I mean, especially that you don't have KDB. So what are you gonna do?
And I think, and we had sort of discussed this a little bit as well, a little bit earlier. Of Nunes comes in, he looks like Bernardo Silva on the ball. So he's a bit more of an attacker. And I do think that, I mean, Bernardo Silva just re-signed, so you're not looking for an immediate replacement, but you need someone with more pace in that midfield, because that's what I've noticed the first thing. I mean, City are still City. They're still a great squad. They're nowhere near as good as they were last season.
Yeah.
They're still trying to figure out how to cover those gaps in their squad. But I don't think, and I think that Rodri and Kovacic have played well.
Yes.
I do think that putting them both in the midfield together cuts off a lot of opportunities to create space in a different way. They both operate in a very similar way. They hold the ball up. They're very forward and lateral moving. But they're not forward as in they're creating space with some sort of finesse or grace or opening passing lanes. It really is a hold the ball up to pass to someone else on the wings.
Yeah.
Or when they get the rare opportunity to just cut straight through and use their mid-level pace. Now, they're not exactly the most pacey people in the world, but they definitely need more creative options in the midfield to open up passing lanes. And I think that they both play well. I think that they need to be played in rotation with each other. And there needs to be someone with a bit more finesse, a bit more speed, a bit more electricity in the midfield to then feed the ball up, because this slower style of play is not working for Haaland.
Yeah, especially if you know Pep, that's not his style. You know, you might want to slow down, but especially on counterattacks when you're looking to overload the opposition team, and you have Haaland that's really dynamic, that's expecting this long balls or short balls, that's looking at these through passes. He can get them.
Yeah.
And if you are planning to use Haaland to the fullest of his potential, it's got to be fast breaks, you know. It's got to,
and that's exactly what this team looks like he can do. You need someone that's going to be able to be deceptively fast, cut through that midfield, and be able to bring a ball over the top after Haaland has had 5 to 8 yards to build up a full stride.
Yeah.
That's what all of his goals are, either jumping power headers or where he's had a good 15 to 20 yards at full sprint with or without the ball, and then you're feeding it to him right there, and he's closing in on that space with a forward path with nothing in his way, or one person in his way. And if one person is in his way, then it's over. As long as he's able to move forward. Once you have him holding up play or have his back to goal, he's not as powerful. And I think that because of the lack of pace in the midfield, he's not had those fully open channels to be able to really do what he does best.
Another signing or another transfer or loan will be Cancelo.
Yeah.
I know he's gone to Barcelona now on 1-year loan, but there's an option to buy.
And I guess if he gets in an argument in the locker room, then they don't have to keep him. And see, like, and that is funny. People have like disagreed with that about him. He does not seem to have the best social skills, perhaps. And I don't think that he's a complete troublemaker.
It was very, very impactful when City won in 2021, 2022 when they won the cup.
But then he and Pep didn't get along very well, and that loan in Munich didn't go very well. Apparently he didn't have any issues anywhere close to the Mane, Sane debacle, whatever that was, and whatever it. No one talks about it anymore, especially in Munich. He just needs to kind of take it easy a little bit. There have been a couple of instances that have been heard that he's not the easiest to get along with in the locker room.
I think in Barcelona's defense, he will be good.
Roberto had an awful game yesterday.
Not just Roberto and Alonso.
Yeah,
the Villarreal was killing them on their fast breaks, counterattacks.
Absolutely.
I mean, they were nowhere to be found. Either they're too high up, they can get down, they can get deep, or they just get surprised every single time.
But Cancelo's also, he's a bit more like Alphonso Davies, not in the same way of like very attacking minded. He's better defensively than Davies, but he's still not.
Well, he's still
not the best on defense.
In this era where everybody's trying to use what you call inverted fullbacks, right? And he will not. Roberto doesn't seem like the guy to be able to execute on that.
And Alonso maybe could have done that 6 years ago.
So Cancelo will be. I think he'll be a good one for Barcelona. Yeah,
because even if you're not the best defender, and I think even Davies has proven this as well, even though you're not the best defender, the fact that you can use your pace to get back and at least put a body in the way, that's obviously better than being left out of position and doing whatever Alonso and Roberto were doing yesterday.
That's pretty nice. Another another one nice. Will be I guess kudos to West Ham from Ajax. Kid is amazing. I saw his really good. Highlights, and I saw one of his game, the last game, and he scored a hat trick. West Ham has been doing really good since the season started.
Yep, especially after losing their best player by far.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find out how he will fit in that team.
Yeah, he definitely will be more on the attacking midfield side. They have not really remedied the lack of a holding midfielder that Declan Rice was. Yeah. But again, we sort of discussed this earlier as well. If this Kudus kid can do remotely what he was doing at Ajax, that allows for your other midfielders in this trio, even if they're not holding midfielders by default, to be able to sit back a tiny bit and let this kid just go electrify everything, because it seems like he's able to do that. I was very impressed with him, and 41 million.
That's a steal.
Not a bad deal at all. And Ajax, they consistently make these good deals like this though, and I don't know why they are still struggling. What them and Atalanta had 2 seasons, I think 4 years ago or so, where they made it past the quarterfinals in the Champions League and they were my 2 favorite teams to watch.
Yeah.
Them and Napoli as well, because they all played this sort of nothing to lose, very energetic style, and even when someone goes down, in that style, there's something beautiful about that. And I don't know what happened to all 2 of those 3 teams now. Atalanta and Ajax are not where they were then, and it's a very unfortunate thing.
I think Kudus will really be good for West Ham. I'm just trying to find out how impactful or how the play will be. West Ham has been doing really good, so I don't know where. I guess I want to see. And if you saw the game against Brighton, they absolutely demolished De Zerbi tactics. Yeah. And I'm kind of excited. Actually, West Ham is the most exciting team that, for me, this season, that I want to see. Yeah. Where will they be at in the next 10 to 15 games? Yeah. And I'm excited to see where they will end up at the end. I want to predict top 6.
Wow. Okay.
Because guess what? They've been playing so good, so I want to see where they will be at the end.
Right. Are we gonna clip that up right now and play that for you?
Top 6, I think top so.
6. Yeah, and by top 6 you mean 6th place max.
Yeah.
Maybe. But and then also it's not, we weren't planning on talking about it today, but you mentioned Brighton and West Ham. This Carlos Baleba. Yeah. Going to Brighton at 19.
Yes.
And again, and I haven't done much research on him, but you look at I've seen his play style, and you've got to think that there's some sort of, and it's not going to be a 1-for-1 replacement, but they're definitely looking to cover the gaps that Caicedo left when he departed. And if that kid is going to be able to do as much, and again, Caicedo was only there for 1 season, so you don't really get to put him on too big of a pedestal. And I do think that he's not going to perform as well at the very top as he did at Brighton, where he felt less pressure. But this Baleba kid, we'll probably be talking about him in the next couple of weeks or so.
All right. That sounds like a good deal.
I think that's it for our news and our rumors. What about the league breakdowns, the matches around the parks?
Did you watch the game, Chelsea-Luton?
I did.
Luton Town is kind of they are pathetic, to say the least.
Be nice.
So I think they just came in to give some free points to everyone. You get a point, whatever. And Luton Town is kind of like Derby County when they came in 2008. They lost. How much the games they lost? I mean, it's kind of the same scenario, and they finished the league with 11 points.
Yeah.
And Luton Town, if they keep playing like that, that's basically what is going to happen for them.
And I'll say this, unrelated to their actual match quality. Everybody hates on their stadium. I love their stadium. It's so funny. It's it makes me laugh because it's it really is someone just blasted a block and a half of London, of a London street, and just plopped a stadium right in there. If you look at it, if somebody lives in the apartments across the street they can almost, it feels like they can almost touch the stadium. And it's so cool to see. It's not very functional. It's not built for the Premier League. I get that.
I probably would like that though.
It's kind of
I don't have to pay for tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, just open my windows.
I think I forgot. It's one of the mid-table teams.
Yeah.
They showed it at an angle where the two parts of the stadium divide in the corner, and there's an apartment block. Like a tall one, and every single person in the block was on their patio just watching the game for free. And you're like, I mean, you have to do that.
That's what you get.
That might have been Bournemouth or it might have been Sheffield. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, like you would just see like the angles when someone's taking a corner at a certain part of the stadium. There's just a big block, and they're all watching with like binoculars on. But like, hey, free tickets. That's a free season ticket.
I would have loved that.
But yeah, they didn't look good.
No,
I get that.
They did not look.
And every couple of years, there always feels like a team that is destined to give one of the worst performances of the seasons. And not every time that there's a promotion batch does that come across, but I mean, you're right. I mean, like Derby, Luton, it just doesn't feel like they're made for it. They didn't have the assets to come in. And what was it? I think that they had like 4 or 5 players on loan when they performed that well to get promoted, and then they all had to leave again.
Yeah.
And so now you've been promoted, and the people that got you there are now gone. And so let's talk a bit more about performances now.
Yeah. What did you think about the game?
Again, 3-0 against Luton. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay. Awesome. Not a great performance though.
Not really. Still
No.
have a lot.
Very, very sloppy. And I don't want to pick on him because it's not fair, but also this was not there last season. Caicedo was all over the ground.
Yeah.
He falls all over the place. You look around in like a little scrum and he's on the ground. And it's like, I'm like, get up, son. Come on. Like,
yeah.
Because like, you take notes and I'm like, so-and-so does this and that. Caicedo's on the floor.
Well,
you know what I mean? And it's just like,
there was a lot of bad decision making by Chilwell. I don't know, because he's the captain, he feels a lot of pressure. I don't know, but he had a lot of bad decision making.
And he didn't even get a lot of time with the ball either.
Yeah.
So when he did have it, he didn't do much with it at all.
And that's not really how he plays. I don't know if it's the pressure of being the new captain or what's going on, or is the formation. I don't know yet.
It could have also been because I noticed that the left wing was very bare.
Yeah.
That Colwell and Chilwell didn't have a lot of communication together, but also Malagusto and Raheem Sterling on the right wing were doing so well getting the ball into the box. So
definitely.
Like, it could have been a sense of like, this is working.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't even like, not that we ignore it, but like it seemed like they, after a little while of seeing the success, they kept feeding it down that right wing, and that's what was yielding the better results. Yeah. So maybe, I mean, next week could be the exact opposite. I think that they just adapted to that situation and kind of wrote it out.
Probably just playing it out because I think since it's a new team, all of them.
Yeah.
So trying to get that chemistry too might affect them.
There's still very little chemistry
because
overall.
The passes, either they were too short or too long. Players have to get deep to get the passes or on a counterattack. So that's not how you want to do it. But I actually like Jackson's performance. I think he looks like a young Drogba 2004 when I see him, in the sense that one thing, he needs a good 8. He needs someone to feed the ball. And I can see the potential in him. And he was he was making good passes. He had good plays. And he scored. I think he scored that game. So
he did. But he had a lot of missed chances though. He got a little too tricky with the ball. I think right outside the box, he tries a little spin move. Yeah. And he went spinning and he went running and the ball didn't go anywhere.
I think I think that would go probably with maturity and good decision making. Right? It's like, what should I do at this moment of time?
Well, and then there was one as well where you can tell that I think Enzo Fernandez gives him the ball.
Yeah.
And the obvious, I don't want to say obvious because these decisions have to be made so quickly.
Yeah.
And it's also, and just because I think people in general get a lot of flack for this. Just because anyone comment on something after the fact, in retrospect, we're not suggesting that we could do it any better. Like, just by saying like, well, he had a guy open over there, that's not us saying, well, he's stupid, I could have done that. Or it's just like, if he ran that same play again, he might have made that right decision. There's nothing wrong with saying that option was available.
Yeah.
But I think Nicholas Jackson, the obvious answer was to use that quick bit of pace to get behind the defender. And he ends up trying to do this little stutter step flick back and didn't have enough on it. And so the Luton defender presses up and Enzo has to come in for a tackle. And it's a very risky tackle to get a card. And it's just trying to use a little bit of finesse in a way that he left Enzo out to dry. And Enzo has to make the decision, do I let this possession turn into a very quick counterattack, or do I risk a card to close this thing down? And that, to me, that wasn't a very good decision.
With Caicedo coming, right, I see them playing, I don't know, probably something like having Enzo as your aide.
Yeah.
You don't want him to get deep too much because he can impact the attack.
That's what Lavia will be for.
Yeah.
To stay back more.
To stay back, cover for Enzo, because I think if he plays in the position where he is much more focused on the attacking, he can really do a good job at feeding Jackson, and they will see end results, because you have Sterling. I mean, Sterling made the team of the week, and he played. So far he's your best player.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and 100%. I remember everybody was bashing Sterling or whatever.
Of course.
So they gotta get in check now, because Sterling is his city. Sterling is back.
Yeah. And then Jackson, in I think the 50th minute or so, he had a really good strike off of a bobble.
Yeah.
I mean, he had some great chances. That's the thing. He's still being presented with these chances. And then I think it was in the 65th minute, had a great pass to Sterling on that right-hand side.
Yeah.
And Sterling takes a wildly heavy touch. Those are the things that he should still be criticized for, because he is playing very well still, but he still, some of those first touches from good passes really just completely turn over the play.
I think they still have, there's a lot of precipitation, not enough patience on execution, not enough of... they still lack the chemistry between players, and even the style of play is not really established yet, because we still don't know who is kind of doing what, right? And I think probably in the next 6 to 10 games we'll have a better understanding of what Chelsea is all about.
What is Chilwell's purpose for being so high up and wide if he's not going to make big runs? And if he does make big runs, does he have the pace for it? And if not, why is he there to do that? You know what I mean? And very, very strange things like that. Caicedo still not... I don't want to say proving, because I also really don't like, someone comes in for 100 million, so he's not playing worth 100 million. I don't like that, because it's not the player's fault.
Yeah.
That's not the player. It's when I say that he's not playing well enough, I'm never saying it based on the amount of money that he was brought in for. It's what's expected.
Yeah.
It's what's expected based on the resume that you've presented. So
I get that.
To me, the 1 million, because the market is the market, and a team can either pay it or not pay it. And that shouldn't affect the player's mentality at all. But I'm saying it in a way of, he's just not doing what he did at Brighton.
Yeah.
But that team also had great chemistry. Even though he was only there for one season, most of those guys were there for a little while. So he was able to slot into a new system. And it's going to take, I think, it's going to take about 2 seasons of having almost no transfers.
Yeah.
For them to get to a certain position, because it's just, none of these players are playing to their highest capability, because everyone around them is new. No one knows exactly what to do. So you've got to stop. Now that you've spent all this money, you've brought in, in all seriousness, 16 players in the last 3 seasons? Something ridiculous. You're going to have to stop. They're all on what feels like 40-year contracts anyway, right? You're going to have to stop with the transfers.
Yeah.
You're going to have to let these guys get to know each other. You've created a situation where you're not bringing new people into a system. You're bringing everybody into a system.
Expecting something. I guess will be I guess the right thing to do is nurturing the current players and getting them to have the chemistry between them, and establishing a system of play That will help a lot. Man, the team is run by Americans, so it's normal.
Take it easy. No, but I mean, it's not even that because Americans can't understand the sport.
Yeah,
I think that a lot of the criticism of American owners ends up coming from how they do business.
Yeah,
like an American can understand the nature of the sport, of what the play is supposed to look like, of what a good player versus a bad player looks like, what's expected at a certain level. But I do think that when it comes to finances, that's where that sort of comes back to bite them. They're very quick turnover rates, very quick to fire, very quick to just splash cash where they can. It's usually figuring out who is the best for the role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Americans can identify good talent once it's presented.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of what misses with Americans is being able to see the rough talent and get them at value and then grow the talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, and like you shouldn't be that proud of yourself for recognizing that this player that, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to have seen how good Caicedo was that one season at Brighton.
Yeah, that is true.
What it does though is how does he work that way for you? They saw a good player, Todd Bowley sees a good player and goes, perfect, let's get assuming that you can recreate those circumstances for him.
Yes.
And that's not happening. But I do think that, and I kind of just, over the last couple of days, thought about this after watching them play. I think that Romeo Lavia is going to really solidify their play style, not because of the quality, but because of his skill set.
Yeah.
That midfield is so, I don't want to say shapeless, but like everybody kind of has to do everything a little bit.
Yeah.
To where if you're doing everything partially well, that's not good enough. You want to be doing certain things perfectly. Yeah. So a clear defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
And then a clear
offensive. That's why
in Enzo, but then you have the middleman of Caicedo with the long passes, allowing Enzo to stay up higher and be creative with Lavia in the back, holding everything down, because you can't trust Gallagher to do that.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. He kind of just runs everywhere. And I love watching him play because he is not the best by any means whatsoever, but he is one of the hardest workers in the Premier League. You can tell that it's not for his lack of trying. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I see him run around everywhere. I see him make sloppy passes. I see him make some good passes. But at the end of the day, I don't think anyone can say, well, he didn't really try that hard. He works his ass off. He really does. But that's not good enough at that level. It was good at Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Where you can make mistakes and it's okay. He's got too many mistakes in him to be at that level. And he does everything decently, not particularly anything that well.
Yeah.
But his energy is what kind of covers that lack of quality in ways. But Lavia doesn't have to do that. So I don't see Gallagher getting much play time after Lavia comes in.
Yeah.
But I think that literally, like that makes all three of those starting midfielders, they have exact roles. It's a good balance once they all come in and figure it out.
Yeah, I can see them playing actually probably like a 2 or a 3 in the midfield, but the difference that you have Enzo a little bit up, then you have Lavia and Caicedo. So when there's a counter or whatever, Caicedo or Lavia can cover what Caicedo is moving slightly up, while Enzo is totally up.
Yeah.
Right? Which will be really good if they're trying to probably overload the defensive in an attacking situation, and really good in the counter situation. If it comes through the middle, then you have someone to help stop or cover spaces. So
Caicedo needs to be in the dead center of that build-up because he's got, if you look at his highlights especially, he's got such long legs. He really poke out and shut down passing lanes without having to move his body that much. And he's got a really good transitional long pass.
Yeah.
And then Lavia runs in like a fucking maniac. Like his highlight reel, it reminds me more of like the NFL Blitz video games.
Yeah.
He's just an absolute maniac with these sliding tackles, and like he's a good last line of defense with some pace, who can kind of, especially if they insist on having a 3-man back, which I don't know if that's the best option.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think that Thiago Silva is by far their second best player in current form. Sterling is great.
Yeah.
Obviously. But like Silva does not feel 38 years old.
So
but
you're
like,
thinking of a 3-4-3?
I don't know. Well, they seem insistent on having that 3-man back. I don't like that. But if that's what you're going to do, then Lavia needs to be able to come back a little bit more and use that pace to cover that gap. And that leaves Caicedo to really hold down the midfield, to kind of create a real lateral sense of you are not crossing this line. I can cover this space, no problem. And have Enzo up top a little bit more with the small little threaded passes and creating more space out wide. Like I can see those three working really well together, like I said, because each of those three have a very specific role. And it looks like it was a plan in these Chelsea signings, but you can see for the last 2 years that they've had no plan. But I guess once you sign 1,000 people, you can finally figure out how three can work together, right? All it takes is $1 billion and 2 years. But no, I mean, it's a very good skill set that they've sort of manifested in that midfield if they can get everything on the same page.
I wonder if they can play a 3-4-3 or a 3-4-3 diamond, which with 4 Enzo and probably Caicedo on the left, and you have Lavia as a holding one. But I don't know who will be occupying the left. Might be Kovacic, I don't know. So it looks like that's a playable formation. Kovacic, yeah.
Keep going.
Oh, not Kovacic. Rodri.
Yeah.
So depending on how they want to play it, it's gonna be tough. But I'm excited to see what's gonna come out of that play. I guess.
They've got to stop at the signings too, man. But like, and just like last note, because I really don't want to spend more time in Chelsea than I have to. But like, it's getting really annoying looking at the lineup and going, all right, who is this again? Because they're all like 19 or 20. They all came in the last like 6 months or so. Yeah. Or they were on loan and then they all come back in and now they're immediately starting again and you're like, oh my god. Like, please stop. And like it's a mess. Anyway, let's be done with them.
Well, if you go to, I don't know, you watch your team, Arsenal Fulham. Mm-hmm. How did you find the game? Whew. It's for the Arsenal fans out there.
Yeah, man. The two biggest talking points that I've seen people come away with are obviously the poor pass from Saka back.
Yes.
For the goal, which we were talking about inverted midfielders in the first place, and that is a prime example of why just because your friends are doing it doesn't mean that you have to do it.
Nice.
Like, you know, like it's what it feels like. It's like, you know, if your friend jumps off a bridge, would you do it too? If your friend has an inverted, you know,
it's the thing to do. Everybody is doing it. It's weird because I don't think it works for everyone or everything.
No.
Like in the case of
that's anything. Yeah. In the sport, in the case it works for someone else. It doesn't always work for you, and give it up if it's not working.
In the case of Arsenal, right? I think that he's just running experiments right now because he's rotating a lot of players and nobody knows what is supposed to be done. And Arsenal itself as a whole don't even know what's going on. So you have Partey on the right side, the right fullback. He doesn't play there. He don't know how to play right fullback. No. He's always confused everywhere. So he doesn't know where to be at, how to position himself. So the game was just, they played sort of well, but it wasn't Arsenal of last season. The exciting, the short passes, the surprising Arsenal, it wasn't that. Yeah. And they have to figure out what players they want on. You got to move back Partey where he's at.
Yeah. Because that was the reason. That was the reason.
Yeah.
Because the play was moving up. We were entering the middle third.
Yes.
And we think, you know, then now is the time. And by we, I'm saying it's the proverbial we.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, but
I get that.
The play was so convincing in how it was going to move forward. And it was, because the reason that it falls apart is two things, but one was predicated on the other. It's a poor pass from Saka.
Yeah.
But Partey should have still been back in his position. He was already making the transition up to the midfield, and that's what pinched him inside and allowed for the counterattack to happen. But also really fast.
Yeah.
If that's what you're told to do tactically, to move up at that, like that was the right time to move up.
Yeah.
It was a bad pass that got you pinched. That's not Partey's fault. But the system's not working. Like,
Yeah.
Both of the things are compounded on each other. That's a horrible pass. But if you're playing a 4-man back, that's covered. But this system can operate properly. And he did everything right.
Yeah.
The pass you just couldn't have predicted, I guess.
I just think they don't know how to run that style of play with inverted fullbacks.
It doesn't. Well, yeah, because even the games that have ended in a victory, that style's not convincing.
Yeah,
though.
It's not convincing. I don't know. It's also because they're liking who's the injured. They're liking Zichenko.
Yeah, which he did come out for a little bit.
Yeah. So
he's not starting. He does need to start though. But also, and then you're really cutting off the assets when you put Thomas Partey as a fullback when you have Ben White on the inside. Yeah. And I mean, he has history playing as a center back, but he's really like this system that you built last year. Ben White was the right fullback.
How about Gabriel Jesus? Even last year, he was one of the best top players in form at Arsenal. So I guess I'm just trying to figure out what Arteta's trying to do.
Well, and he also is coming back from a knee injury as well. So like a lot of guys did get some early, just some early minutes. They're not fresh enough to start the full game, but they are good enough to get a couple of minutes and making sure that they did. I think the substitutions were very good overall in this game. Yeah. Especially bringing in Nketiah and Vieira. Vieira especially was the man of the match. He was absolutely unbelievable.
Because they have good players. They have. I like Tosa at the.
Yeah, he didn't have a great game. Yeah, I do think that he functions better on the left wing though. I don't think that he's a striker.
Me too. They should put him there. How about Martinelli then?
Well, see, but that's the thing. I think that what's worked best for Trossard so far really is coming in. You don't have to be late in the game. But when you sub off Martinelli, because he is going to have burnt out that fullback, he is going to have absolutely tired them out to where you're either going to have to sub fresh and assume that the quality on the bench is the same as your starter, and not a lot of teams can say that.
That is true.
And then once you sub off Martinelli, you have a fresh Trossard who has a bit more skill and shorter bursts of pace. You've either put in a backup or you have a tired out starter, in which case Trossard can pick him apart. He's done really well coming off the bench.
I think Havertz should be out. He's more of a liability than he is.
Okay, so let me. So
too much money.
There were some things, and he did this at Chelsea as well. And it's so funny to me because he did not do these things at Leverkusen. And I watched him in this game, and I never have seen him do exactly. It's like he knew what he is known for doing poorly and said, I'm going to give you like a caricature of that. He actively, I don't know if you did you pay much attention to him at all?
A little bit, but
when he wasn't disappearing completely?
Yes.
He was actively avoiding stepping into passing lanes. I want you to go back and watch some of that first half. Yeah. It's on right now actually, but the first half is over. Oh. But he would instead of picking a space like here's the defender, instead of finding a way to get the ball fed in and try to hold up play a little bit, he is actively standing right, letting the defender eclipse his channel to the ball so that you cannot give him the ball. And it's like it looks like he's standing there to be just onside for you to dink it over the top and let him go run for it. But he never actually tries to make the run. He literally just stands with the defender in his way, almost as a way to get out of the ball being given to him. Yeah. Like he's actively taking himself out of the play. He, straight up hiding behind defenders. He botched one of Odegaard's scoring opportunities. He was not attacking any spaces in transition or on defense at all. He was missing passes into space. Yeah. He was either passing to space where he thought you were going to be, but you were actually holding up behind the defender, or he's laying off the pass thinking that you're going to be there and you're already behind the defender and you've basically just passed it to the opposition. He was on the exact opposite page. I've never seen anything quite like that for that side, for that squad, for that group of players. Wow. But also, he is not a midfielder. We've understood this. We knew this. Everybody knew that. And if that was what the experiment was going to be as a midfielder,
no,
that's ridiculous. Like, you should have known. Like, people should have told you. But more importantly, you should have known. He is a number. That's the thing, because he doesn't really even seem to play like that anymore. But at Leverkusen, he was a number 10.
Yeah.
He was a number 10. He played forward. He played with confidence. He attacked space, but he had the skill to keep defenders pressed back, to not be able to give him any space. And he's able to, because he's got a pretty good right foot as well. He's left foot dominant, but he can kind of do both, especially with short range passes or threaded balls into the box. And that's what he did. If you look at his highlight reels from Leverkusen, he's sliding those passes through defenders.
Yeah.
And he's not doing any of that. He doesn't have the opportunity to do that. But also, a striker can kind of do that a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Like, you have more opportunities to set up passes as a 10, obviously. But I've seen him at Chelsea when he's most successful, kind of putting his back to goal and allowing for little layoffs into space. Like, I've seen him be effective as a striker at times. Nowhere in his career has he been a successful midfielder.
Yeah.
So I don't get why you're playing him that way.
That's why I said I think the experiment is still something to find.
Yeah.
Like, what was the outcome? What is he trying to prove or achieve? So that's another thing.
And then even when he is the left midfielder of this setup, if you watched in that first half especially, he's given that license, and it's a good tactic when you have someone skilled, where he gets to kind of wander. He gets to kind of explore spaces. But you have to have someone that's more of an active, aggressive player for that. You can't have a passive player that likes to hide behind defenders in this freelance role of trying to be a magician and create chances.
Yeah.
Because he's not even doing that. You look at where it's like, you're like, where is this extra bit of effort in the midfield? And you look up, and he's on the back line, but not waiting for a ball and not waiting for one to come over the top. He's literally just hiding behind. So you have someone missing in the midfield.
Yeah.
And you have someone wasting space on the line up front. And that's also why the whole Party having to come up to the midfield, Declan Rice having to hold everything down, Kai Havertz disappearing up here, and Odegaard having to come attack to make up for that. The midfield felt 1,000 yards away from each other.
Yeah, that's
nothing
why,
could really develop.
Yeah, and that's why all the attacking threats came from the left side, right? Because
Martinelli.
Yeah,
he had a good game. He didn't have any real finishing opportunities really, but he like, how many times did he drive the ball down the left wing and get a little bit of skill to get in the box, and then have to kick it back in? And a lot of times it was fucking Havertz. That's just kind of there.
Yeah.
And whenever he gets a ball, and I'm not trying to rag, but it's like, you've got to figure out what to do with this guy. But whenever he gets the ball, and I saw this at Chelsea as well, and I would kind of poke fun at it a little bit. Whenever he gets the ball, he is not looking for what to do with the ball.
Yes.
He is looking for the next closest player to just give it to him.
Sure.
So many times I've seen him get the ball and then give it right back to that person, or literally just kind of stand and look and just go, you, okay,
get the ball.
I don't want it. He's playing hot potato with the ball. And then once he gets rid of the ball, he goes and hides.
Wow.
To where he's like, oh, I'm being covered. And it's like, well, yeah, because you're standing there, dude. like you've got, like, he's going to follow you.
Yeah,
that's how that goes. You don't get to just hide behind him and think he doesn't see you, because he sees you.
That's definitely true.
And Gabriel needs to be back as soon as possible as well.
Yeah. If
they're going to be effective in this campaign,
Gabriel Jesus
four man back, and Saliba and Gabriel have to be. They were two of the best defending duos in Europe last year.
Yeah.
So why do you change that now? Why do you have a 3-man back with a midfielder sliding up, but then also not being, Party doesn't get to play two positions well? Because John Stones is a good example. When this thing works properly, you have one guy covering two spaces well. When it goes poorly, you have one guy being pulled between two places. And it never feels like Party is able to actually cover one space. He's constantly moving. He's constantly a step behind, because he's having to, once he moves to one place, the threat's back there.
Yeah.
Once he moves there, threats up here. they're not able to hold the ball well, partially because their midfield, one of the guys is just fucking off up front.
Yeah.
And the other guy's actually having to move up front to create plays. So now all of a sudden you've got a transitional inverted fullback and Declan Rice holding this thing down.
Yeah.
Neither of which have pace.
And neither
one are particularly quick on the ball. If you press, they only have so many options in terms of what they can do with the ball.
Yeah.
And that's when, like, the midfield is completely inactive.
Well, one game I was pretty excited about, but it didn't get to where I was like, oh, everyone is upskill above everyone. It's Real Madrid against Villarreal. I mean, Villarreal they had a good game.
It was Celta
Real Madrid versus Celta Vigo.
Yeah.
And the game I liked the game, but I felt like Real Madrid had the potential or the individual skills to beat Villarreal more than one goal.
Oh yeah,
Rodrigo. He missed the penalty, but
yeah, he's so good on the ball. He just lacks the finishing. When he gets the finishing right, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, which I don't think he will ever get. Not because it's like finishers sometimes are born. You just don't become one.
Yeah.
You seen that with Vinicius Junior. He was so bad when he got it. He came to Real Madrid, and at some point he got benched, and he worked on his finishing skill. He can finish now, but he's not a pure finisher. And I still think, and a lot of people were like, well, I think Real Madrid might not need a finisher after all. Actually, they will.
Yeah.
And now I can see, I don't know if they abandoned their pursuit of Mbappe, but I can see why. Because in games that your defense is really tight, they had, I think the first half, 5 of their attacks came from the middle, right?
Yeah.
And it means going to Bellingham. But at the top, at the time you had Rodrigo, Vinicius, and before Vinicius went out, and who was that? Jose. I forgot his name, but he subbed in for Vinicius. But it was so hard to drive to defense because Celta Vigo defense, 3-man defense in the middle, that was a solid block.
Yeah.
And given the fact that you don't have a pure finisher, it becomes difficult, right? Because nobody it's actually utilizing all the thread balls, the passes to finish.
Yeah.
So
you have your midfielder having to come up to make those plays.
Yeah, and it's not the solution. And they played the first half was more of a 4-4-2. So a 4-4-2, and it was a diamond. But the
2-man front doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and they were kind of exposed at some time.
Yeah.
With Carvajal being, and this is the thing now, inverted fullback.
Yeah.
But Carvajal would drive he will be up so far up, and nobody is at the deep, and that's how Celta Vigo. Every time they had the ball on counterattacks, although they didn't score, it was always a threat because they had nobody on the wings because everybody's up. So I think the second half Ancelotti kind of made adjustment, but they still need a good finisher.
What about the it was ruled an offside goal, but that little weird ball from Larson, like 3 minutes in through traffic.
Yeah,
it went through like five people just watched it go by. It was amazing because it just, it came out of nowhere. It's a very low ball. It's very hard to kind of in that moment be able to pick it up. But lucky. They were kind of just standing around.
Yeah.
And then 15 minutes later, Vinny Jr. gets subbed off. Which I still haven't heard anything about.
I think I read something this morning. He has a muscle injury on his thigh.
It's more of like a strain or a pull.
I don't know if it's a strain or pull, but that's kind of the headline I read. I didn't even dig to.
It shouldn't be that serious though.
No, hopefully he gets back soon because they need him. Valverde, exceptional skill.
Yeah.
Man, it's like his awareness on the pitch is very, very. He has exceptional awareness skills. He's very good on the ball. He's very good at passing, and you could see how well he read the game and made all this pass through.
I still think that he's probably one if not the most well-rounded players in Europe.
Yeah,
he does every single thing above average. Yeah, every single thing about him is above average.
That is true. And Valverde and Camavinga, they played very well actually. I'm playing as fullbacks, so the Real Madrid. I think at this point of time, if they had a pure finisher, they will be lethal and very dangerous.
Yeah, and they still are, but
they are
missing that piece for sure.
Yeah, so I kind of like the game. Rudiger. If I was thinking of a formation, you let Alaba on the side because Alaba can play football. I mean, that's what he used to play at Bayern Munich.
Yep.
So he can play on the side. Rodrigo in the middle, Cavani on the other end. So you play 3-4-3. And you shift everyone. I mean, that's kind of what they do, but they do a 3-4-2 or a 4-4-2 diamond. You have a 3-4-3, then you can probably put Bellingham in the middle.
Yeah.
And have Rodrigo and Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo on the side.
Just because they're good at holding up the wings, like you're really taking away a lot of their assets by having them play more narrow.
Now,
and it's proving that neither of them are at that same level when they're not running down the fullbacks and trying to get inside, like trying to get the ball inside the box rather than being in the box with the ball, trying to figure out what to do with it then.
Yeah, because when especially those two are not. It looks like Jude Bellingham is prone to finish more than them. So pushing him in front might help in the sense that if you have your two wingers coming in with the ball or doing cutbacks, they will find someone that will put the ball in the net.
Yeah.
So
he did. So he made a rare error for himself in that game. I don't know if you remember it. In like the 60th minute or so, the entire front line and midfield is sort of pressing into the box, and I guess Valverde gets a little bit of a layoff and he tries to take the right foot into the right corner, and Bellingham kind of trips and falls into him because he was going after the ball as well.
Yeah.
It had just passed Bellingham, and I guess he didn't know that Valverde was behind him. And he tries to like kind of turn his body a little bit, ends up falling into Valverde's knees and botching the shot. And it's like very rare mix up in terms of, because it seems like when Bellingham, he knows exactly where he needs to be.
Yeah.
He's not been in this side long, but he's very impressive. But no player is immune to errors, and that was a potential scoring opportunity because we've seen some crazy skill from Valverde to be able to put it in the unreachable top corners. And realistically, it was going to go there, and that deflection did probably keep it at 1-0, unfortunately.
Valverde, he played very good. Bellingham too, and I feel like
it was his goal that won it too, so that error kind of makes up for itself with the goal.
Yeah. I just feel like he might get more, or probably more, out of Bellingham playing him at the top, just because he scores more than everyone, and you have Tchouaméni holding the midfield.
Yeah.
So
could you imagine him being a number 10 and then feeding Mbappe as well?
That's actually what I thought of in the situation where the move to a 3-4-3, Mbappe at the top of the attack, leading the attack, and you have Vinicius Junior on the left side, you have Rodrigo on the right side, and you have Bellingham just behind Mbappe, feeding Mbappe. Yeah. And because the two can both score, nobody is gonna hold you. And you know what I think? I think Real Madrid is still gonna go for Mbappe next season. I
Why?
can see.
He's so happy at PSG now.
No,
he's so happy. Everyone's so happy now.
But it will be it will be his last year. So I don't see him renewing his contract with PSG. So I see him going to Madrid. And that team, same team, haven't played for a year. The only thing that might be a little bit detrimental, Carvalho is getting a little old. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how, if they find a replacement for him. Because, Modric and Kroos, they're doing this kind of coming in as sub, and
they're coming in for like 25 or 30 minutes.
And it's interesting.
And still playing well.
It's interesting. I think if they have someone for Carvajal, this is still they still have 2 or 3 years where they will be at the top. And since I've been watching Madrid, it seems like this is one of the first time that Madrid has done so good at transitioning from the old generation to the young generation. Because back in this, they wouldn't be transitioning. They would just buy all these players and say, hey, we are Madrid. So
the youth in the squad looks unbelievable, especially that midfield. That 4-man midfield is pretty unbelievable.
You have Tchouaméni and Camavinga. Those guys, they played very well together too. So
and then Valverde, of course. But then the speed in which Bellingham just fit right in.
Yeah,
it's crazy, and it's like you don't have to play all, and like you've got a rotation because you got a 3-man midfield usually, and you got a fourth guy that can always come in, and it feels like, and it's a good thing. I feel like some people would say that it's a detriment to not have a clearly defined three.
Yeah,
but I mean, they have their skill sets, they have their assets that they bring to certain games. But like, I don't think that there's really, you can say Bellingham is number one pick out of those four because he's scoring the goals, but really it's like any variation of those four guys is lethal.
Actually, it's even in the advantage because, especially with positional play, which you're not really concerned about you're not really concerned about a defined position for the player, but a defined position for the space you're occupying as the player playing. So it doesn't matter who is occupying the space, but so if they can rotate it, if it makes it more dangerous. So I think Real Madrid is a good team.
They're all different players, and they all have different skill sets, and their skill sets, like, they're very good at those things. It's not so much that it's he's more holding, but he's not as, he's not that great, but that's his role. It's like, no. Everybody is very good at the skill set that they bring in to where you can look at the matchup for the week, and of those four, pick 3 specifically for that team, and expect all of them to play to the very top of their ability. It's not so much of he's not as good, but his matchup makes more sense for this, so we've got to go with it. It's nope, he's exactly who we need for this role and that role, and then you can come in late to pick it up.
I think Benitez has to, Ancelotti has to figure out what he really wants to do with this. The inverted fullback work in case they are overloading a defense and then a counterattack. But on the flip side, when the opposition team is countering them, the space or the wing or the wide area that Carvajal occupies, since he's left at the top, the time for him to get back, the action has already gone. It leaves Real Madrid really exposed at the defense, and you could really see how Celta Vigo, they understood that, and that's why most of the attacks were coming from the wings, because they understood that the Madrid player, when they go up, they can get back as soon as or as fast as possible. So Real Madrid is having a problem with switches. If my left back is leaving, who is feeling it? So
when do you think that they go for Alphonso Davies?
Ooh,
I could see them going for him
next year
for that sort of role.
Yeah.
Because Carvajal, this was probably the last season starting, and the issue is that because he plays on the wings, he doesn't have the luxury of a Cruz or Modric, where the pace is not important. The pace is very important, and if you don't have that anymore, you're just not playing on the wings anymore, and you've got to accept that.
I wonder where he will, because Davies is a left back though, and Carvajal is a right. So I wonder if it will be difficult to convert him.
They could have made use of Cancelo as well. Instead of Barcelona picking him up because he's right-footed. He's still got great pace, and he can do exactly what you would need him to do in that situation. So they might have missed an opportunity there. But Ancelotti said prematurely the transfer window is closed. And it's like, well, okay, I guess.
I would trust what he's doing for now.
For sure.
Seems like he knows what he's doing. Well, I'm kind of excited to see where the team will be in the next 10 games, just because of the overall chemistry. I'm kind of bummed out about Real Madrid not having Mbappe or a real finisher, just because I feel like if they had one, man, you imagine all the attacks that will always or at most finish with a goal. All the attacks will be a threat of and a probability of a goal. So,
but he's so happy. He's so happy. It's fine.
I don't know about that.
I'm so happy that he's so happy.
Oh man,
and I'm so happy that we don't have to hear about this until next summer again.
Definitely, and I feel like, but Paris Saint-Germain, they played very well. It looks like the chemistry is getting off, and because he's so happy now, he's getting back to scoring.
Whatever.
He scored 2 goals this weekend
against who?
Yeah.
Who?
So Rennes, was it Rennes?
No. It was
Lyon.
No, it was a lower table team than that.
Oh.
It definitely wasn't Rennes. I know that, and it wasn't Lyon as well. Was it Lens?
Oh, Lens. It was Lens.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's just starting of the season, so let's see how it goes.
It's the French league,
and there in Spain, Barcelona Villarreal. That was a good game.
Villarreal, yes, that was the best game of the weekend overall. Villarreal killed with long balls down the wing.
You know who's coaching Villarreal? Benitez. So that he understands the game.
Yeah.
And they really played. I mean, at some point, I think they were kind of dominating the game because you had Barcelona left backs, left and right back,
getting punished the entire
every time.
The only reason that Villarreal lost, they kind of switched off defensively late.
Yeah,
and they the last 2 goals that Barcelona scored were from recycled balls.
Yes,
and so yes, they were closing down the initial shot well, great, but they were allowing too many second opportunities, and that's exactly where those 2 came from.
Another thing, they should have been clearing out any things that bounce back. So all this aside, it's you clearing it out. You just don't leave it roam around your box like that, especially when you have people that can put it back in, like Lewandowski.
And Ferran Torres. Ferran Torres was the one that brought it down. And I mean, you can't allow the cleanup. Was it Yamal had a really good little cross in, and it was unsuccessful initially, but then they allowed Lewandowski to clean up the ball at the end.
Yamal was the man of the match.
He was wild.
16 years old.
It's unbelievable.
The kid is good.
It makes me smile watching the highlights, dude.
It makes me wonder what I was doing at 16 years old.
Well, I mean, because he came up through a youth academy. Yeah, I mean, it's different. But yes, it does make you look at yourself introspectively.
Yeah. I mean, he's playing with such maturity for his age. Yeah. This guy is calm, collected. He knows when to cut back. He knows when to strike. And that's Dembele's problem. Not knowing when to cut in, not knowing when to shoot, not knowing when to run. So all these skills, Yamal has it. Yeah. And he's still 16. So it makes you wonder how he will look like if taken care of in the next 4 years when he's 20.
Yeah. How do you think it feels for Dembele, who was injured for most of his contract, to then get switched over to PSG and be replaced by a 16-year-old?
Yeah, I want now. I see why he wanted to leave.
Yeah, he's looking at the 16-year-old kid going, "Son of a bitch."
The guy is great. I mean, you saw the first goal where he gets on the left side, he gets up, then pause a little bit, and that long ball.
Yep,
that was like his awareness and vision is just crazy for a 16 years old.
And then I think Gavi used, because it was a goal from Gavi. Yeah. He used his lack of height to kind of slide in. It's like no one was marking him at all. And he did kind of intercept the potential goal from Lewandowski. Like Lewandowski was right there. But then again, Lewandowski was already in a jump, and I think it would have hit him straight in the chest. And Gavi was already down there and just kind of snuck in. How tall is Gavi? Is he like 5'5"?
He might have been. He's probably 5'5" or 5'4". Yeah, he's really short.
He was able to just kind of slide in unmarked, which happens a lot with guys that are very short on set pieces. They get kind of hidden in the crowds.
You know what would have been exceptional? It's Yamal scoring the 4th goal. You saw that action where he kind of feints dribble, then shoots it, and then he hits the bar, and that's when Lewandowski just cleans it up.
Yeah, that would have been absolutely incredible.
Lewandowski is not having an exceptional game yet. I think he's still struggling to find his strides. But he's average.
Well, but he's also had some really good passes.
Yeah.
That's where I've seen him really shine. He's not, because I mean, he was never very pacey, so him to burn past a defender is not really an option. He holds up the play. And he's still got a great shot on him to where you have to give him space. You have to honor that. And he's had some really good little flicks to the midfield and out to the wingers to the inside. That those are kind of irreplaceable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
He's just not been playing at the level or doing the things that he's mostly known for, but he still really is contributing quite a bit.
Every goal that Barcelona scored, or at least the three goals, Yamal was at the heart. Yeah. It started with him. Yep. Makes you wonder. So even the build up to De Jong's goal.
If you looked at the stats, he might have been like a goal involvement for all of them.
Well, for every single one of them. It is. Now that he was the man of the match.
Without a doubt, I think so.
So I'm
who
really
wasn't
excited.
Though? Sergio Roberto.
Man, Sergio Roberto, he's got to get out. That's probably why Cancelo coming in would help, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of them has to go. Who would you pick to be
to go to
be on the bench for Cancelo?
Sergio Roberto. Yeah, like I will pick him as soon as Cancelo gets in Spain. He has poor marking skills.
Yeah,
Villarreal was going toward that flank. I mean, it was just like
it was mostly down that his right side.
Yeah, he couldn't mark anybody. So you're gonna just leave people just roaming around your defense like that. So no, he's got to go.
De Jong had a great strike as well.
Yeah.
Again, that was a back heel flick pass from Lewandowski. Like that's what I'm saying. Like he does that. He had.
And you know how he started. It started with Yamal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But I think that Lewandowski had 3 really good flickbacks that were either that led to goals or goal scoring opportunities, and that seems like that's kind of what he might have in this system now. I don't know.
I feel like they're still struggling to find.
They're far from perfect as well.
The attacking, I guess the attacking rhythm, right? Because you have Lewandowski. How do you play with Lewandowski? Yamal, I think he should just keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah, don't tell him to do anything.
Yeah, he's killing it. So as soon as they have a good rhythm going, then they will be able to execute and everything. Because Lewandowski is gonna score every single time. So yeah. And now getting back to our own league in the US.
Oh my God.
The MLS.
We don't have to spend too much time on this, I don't think.
No, just Nashville versus Atlanta, our team here in Tennessee, Nashville. And quite frankly, this was
embarrassing.
They were demolished by Atlanta.
Shocker.
And it's weird because you come off playing against who you play in the League Cups, the final against Inter Miami.
Yep.
And you played as if the end of the world was tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because Messi was in the team that they played like that. Then you get back in season, Atlanta just toyed around with everybody in the team. So it wasn't even a fair game. And I think Nashville needs to recruit, but this time around, good players. First of all,
as opposed to bad players.
They don't have bad players per se, but there's still a lot of lack. You can tell on the attacking. They need a good attacking finisher.
Someone young too. Someone that's not in their 30s, man.
Yes,
that's the main
somebody
thing.
Young. Pick him from anywhere, but someone that's dynamic, young, that can make runs and understand. And
I like Teal Bunbury and Fafa Pico. Like I like them. They are not starters anymore, though.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with saying that either. I think that you need a 23, 24-year-old with a lot of pace.
Yeah.
That still can run around like a maniac for 65 or 70 minutes. You still need that person. You need someone that Mukhtar can thread the ball to forwardly, as opposed to trying to really. They just die in the horizontal passes.
Yeah,
they need someone to be able to flick over the top, because you're kind of squandering a lot of your passing options, a lot of your passing lanes, if you don't have anyone with pace to thread the ball moving forward. You know what I mean? Like that's a big thing they're missing. And the back line is the fullbacks are not so much the issue. It really is the center backs. So? Zimmerman.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
that's
I mean, Shaq Moore is usually giving one of the better performances.
But the first goal, I think, if Shaq Moore had Mad Mac, the player from Atlanta, who was that? Was it Almeida? I forgot.
He was involved with most of the 4 goals anyway.
Yes, if he had Mad Mac him, it wouldn't have been a goal, because he just stood there and watched everything unfold.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there was a lot of laziness, and we definitely need more players. We probably need, like you said, probably another central back or another midfielder. That
definitely
a defensive midfielder.
Because and it's unfortunate, because the obvious answer would be, Leal needs more playing time. Injuries are an issue, though, and that's been part of the reason why he doesn't play as much as he should or would like to. I mean, you can't imagine that he is happy with the amount of playing time that he's getting based on his injuries.
Yes.
But they look very rough, man. I think that we went over some stats. I think they've lost 7 of their last 8 games.
Yes.
And it doesn't sound real.
And they're sitting at the 7th.
They're in
position.
7th place. Yeah.
And means in the playoff they will get to play more teams, or
no, 8th and 9th place are the playoffs, where they got to play an extra round. Okay. And then the winner of that 8th and 9th seed game play the first seed.
So that's not good.
So 7th would play 2nd. which is, it's just not ideal, man. And it's very unfortunate to see such a collapse because they were sitting at second and third and all of a sudden fourth and then fifth, and it just slowly started to happen. And you would hope that the League's Cup break would have a change in mindset. People come back fresh. Despite playing more matches, it just kind of changes your mentality going forward. We were semifinalists and in this,
we're playing well. I mean, I don't think Atlanta played or during the season they were better than us. I just don't understand what happened. But the guy Thiago Almeida, he was so lethal and so good. I mean, he scored 2 goals and 1 assist, and I heard, I don't know which team he's going to. He's going to Europe, and I can see why.
Yeah.
So I don't know which team he's going to go to, but
what league do you think that his play style would work best in?
The way he plays, I think he can. I think he would do good in the Spanish league, or even if he goes in the Premier League, he can. If he goes as a 10, he will do very well because he was really good at passing.
Yeah.
So,
would you say like more of a mid-table side picking him up in the Premier League?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the top one.
Not
I can
yet,
see
anyway.
him.
How old is he again? He's not super young. He's like 24, 25.
Yeah, he's not that old. He's 22 actually.
Oh, okay. Well,
and
so
okay. He has a lot.
I thought he was a little bit older than that.
No, he hasn't been reached his potential yet. So
you could see something like a Brighton picking him up or something.
Yeah, and if someone along the line of Brighton picks him up, I can see him in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
because
that might work out perfectly actually, because they're aren't they talking about Mitoma?
Yeah,
Brighton.
To Brighton, yeah.
One of because he's one of Brighton's like bigger attacking midfielders. So if he ends up going somewhere, you need someone with that electricity. That might be a good look for Brighton. I don't know.
Oh, just putting him in between Mitoma.
At that time. Yeah. Instead of just constantly having to because that's also the thing about a good selling club is that yes, you're always getting money for these players. But you're constantly bleeding players, they're constantly going in and out and in and out, and you wonder what would happen if they had held on to Caicedo, Mitoma was still there, and then they pick up this kid from Atlanta. Then all of a sudden, you've got a lot of money behind you, but also when are they gonna not sell some players and wait 2 seasons or 3 seasons and really try to compete? That's what I'm always wondering with selling clubs like Brighton, because they do that so well.
It's so difficult for clubs that sell though, because depending on what side of business they pick, I guess. Either you're a selling club or you're trying to compete. But I don't know it's like Ajax. I thought they will, especially after the 2018 where you had all these players, De Jong, De Ligt, all these guys coming in and
Van de Beek.
I thought, oh no, we're gonna hold up to the players.
Yeah.
Get 2 great next year, since the 2018 one was good,
and then they go to the quarterfinals. They lose in the quarterfinals, and then they sell everybody. And you're like, no, you were 2 seasons away from really having it.
Yeah,
and so it's just you've got to be
being a powerhouse too.
You've got to pick and choose when is the right time to hold on to some assets for a couple of years, because if they are that good, the value will still be there. And if you start playing even better, their value increases.
Yeah.
But they need to have a couple of seasons where they don't really offload everybody and really compete.
Yeah. Which is interesting, because Ajax used to be a competition club back in the days, probably late 90s. So, I don't understand.
Well, that's enough for Nashville too, right? We're done with Nashville?
Yeah. We're
get them out of here.
So, I guess what would be your power ranking for this?
All right. Well, did you make your own, or are you just gonna critique mine again?
Probably that, but I got a good 5 though.
Okay. So right now I have Madrid at number 1, because even though they weren't the most convincing, they're still performing at a very high level. They're really figuring out who they are. Bayern Munich at number 2.
Yeah.
Even though they conceded a silly goal this past week, they still look great. They're still an attacking threat. Manchester City at number 3. I think that AC Milan is really impressive. They haven't played too many great sides yet, but Christian Pulisic looks really good. Rafael Leao looks great.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. And I think Olivier Giroud might be drinking from the fountain of youth. I don't understand. Every single shot that Giroud has is convincing that it could be a goal.
I think he's understood how to play at his age. It's kind of like Ronaldo, Messi, understanding your age, your limit, your potential, and what you can do.
Yeah.
So
he can, the ball can bobble in the air, and he can no look spin strike, and it's curling into the top corner. Whether it goes in or not, it doesn't really matter.
But it's always
you're always leaning up. It's always a good chance. He very rarely skies anything. It's always really close to being on goal or directly on goal. In fifth, and it's not their fault because they've probably had the toughest start to a season, but Newcastle.
Yeah.
The City and Liverpool in your first 3 weeks. That's horrendous. I still think that they're good. They don't seem as confident once they take the lead.
Yeah.
They really they were scared to have possession when they were up on Liverpool, and that's what allowed Liverpool to get back into the game. Sixth, I have Tottenham. They're playing very well. I think that they're kind of underrated, especially without Kane.
Yeah.
Then I have Napoli at 7.
Okay.
Because they haven't played great sides yet, but Osimhen looks great. Kvaratskhelia comes back. He came back for a couple of minutes in this past game, so you expect him to start next week. In 8th, I have Liverpool, because even though Darwin Núñez looks great from those 2 goals, but more consistently, Luis Diaz looks really good. He looks really good coming out. That back line is shambles.
Yeah.
Really, really, really rough stuff. In 9th, Arsenal. The midfield looks strange because we've already talked about it. The players are there, though. The old system, I can still see it working. Adjustments need to be made. At the end of the day, haven't lost anything. I've only dropped 2 points. So there's 7 points of 9.
Yeah.
Not a bad start, but none of the games have been as convincing as they were last season. And then 10th, I did it. Union Berlin. I don't care what you say.
All right.
They've won by 4 goals, or they've scored 4 goals in both games.
Yeah.
8 goals in 2 games. Come on. And I'm saying it again. They are in Europe. They beat Ajax in the Europa League last year. Come on, dude. They're in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Because they beat Ajax in the Europa League last season. You gotta respect Berlin. You have to.
Well,
you're going to by the end of the season.
I didn't do a top 10, so probably that's why they're not in my top 5.
That's fine. Fair enough.
So mine will be Real Madrid. Actually, let me take it. Mine will be Bayern, Real Madrid, City, Milan, AC Milan, and I'll finish with West Ham.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our top 5 is pretty similar, actually. Then you have West Ham coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Because what they've been doing since the season started, it's amazing to me. And August 31, Champions League group draw. That's an exciting time. I think after that, the Champions League's open one or starts in September 19.
Yep.
So that's exciting. We might get to talk about the matchups after the draw or something like that.
We were going to do that for sure.
Yeah. And to everyone that listens to the podcast, you can share your own predictions. You can send us whatever you think about the teams, or what team you like, what you think will be at the top 6 table, either in Premier League or in the Italian League or in La Liga, or even the MLS for those who follow the MLS.
Yeah, and we will hopefully start to. It's going to be interesting to see, and again, we are kind of going through this in real time, figuring out exactly who to talk about, when to talk about it. I can see more Villa conversation.
Yeah.
I can see more West Ham conversation.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking not just about the big 6 or guys like that, because I'm not really interested in just doing that. It really is about who's playing at the highest level for the quality of their expectation of the club itself. So we really are going to be trying to figure out exactly what to talk about. And the schedules will change based on, I can see us talking more about Milan. If they keep this going,
definitely.
AC Milan games might be an essential one for us. And again, so if there are certain matchups or certain sides that you want us to talk about in particular, then let us know that as well. And we will
talk about it.
We will try to get everything in, but then also kind of based on the quality of the
you can send your own suggestions, I guess. Even the MLS playoff is starting, so that will be an interesting thing to talk about.
We will cover the playoffs for sure.
Cover the playoffs. And so everybody, I invite you guys to subscribe,
like, share,
comment,
subscribe.
share, and turn on your notification bell. And the overview or for today's podcast. I guess everything that went through the week, we were really as far as I liked it. I liked everything. I liked all the matchups and the games. And like I said, I'm looking forward to West Ham, especially just because I'm kind of interested in what they're doing. And I will say Brighton, but I feel like Brighton was more of a last season thing.
We'll see. We'll see. But I'll definitely be watching more West Ham for Kudus as well.
Sure. So I'm really interested in the development on that side, and really excited for Champions League to start too, and see with all the teams trying to get their systems working, rhythm, cadence, and all that. So that would be really exciting.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.